girl suddenly realized her own grandmother was hitting on her 5-year-old brother. She immediately grabbed him, saying Grandma is a pervert who harasses her younger brother. A fight broke out between them. The older sister rushed to help out, but the grandmother slapped him in the face. The older sister was not to be outdone. Soon the three siblings swarmed up. They pressed Grandma to the bed. At that moment the uncle outside the house heard the noise. He finally broke up the fight. Afterwards, the two girls explained to their father. They were just trying to protect their brother, but the father didn't want to hear a word. He didn't confirm the behavior of his two daughters just now. I didn't condemn my mother either. Instead criticized the child for not protecting themselves well. At the dinner that followed, Grandma acted as if nothing had happened. The boy spat out his food in disgust. He was beaten by the grandmother again, but the father remained silent. In front of Grandma, Dad is always very timid. This made Jenny very confused, until a few children accidentally looked up their father's diary and realized Dad had been molested by his grandmother. That experience left a shadow on him, so much so that he was weak in front of her. The father wanted to take the children away from this shitty place, into his so-called glass castle. The next day, the family of 5 left with their luggage. They were looking for a suitable place to build a castle, but father never implemented it, just immersed in unrealistic fantasies. The mother wanted to be a painter. The children were starving, and she had a lot of bad ideas. Under these circumstances, Jenny learned to take care of herself. She climbed up on a stool and cooked sausages, despite their poverty, but her parents gave them a sister, and life got worse. The father was always moving with the children. He kept moving with his children. Finally, they bought a house. Father never gave up his dream of a glass castle. He was ready to remodel the house from the ground up. Mom was also immersed in her own world, without any source of income. Soon the family couldn't even afford to eat. The youngest sister woke up hungry. Jenny searched the house. She found a tiny piece of butter in the refrigerator. She mixed it with sugar. Whatever it took, at least she had something to eat. Looking at her father asleep on the couch after a drink, Jenny couldn't take it anymore. She blamed him for her behavior. He took what money we had left. He promised to bring them back a big meal. Instead, a day went by with no sign of him. Until late at night, Jenny finally heard her father return, but he didn't bring anything. He brought back a drunken stench and a bruised face. Until that day, Uncle brought news of Grandma's death. Dad couldn't forget the bad memories of his childhood. So once again, he chose to drink to drown his sorrows. Jenny also saw through. These irresponsible parents could never take care of them, so they decided to start saving money to plan their escape. When she grew up, she became a newspaper editor. Jenny was one of the first children to leave the house. By the time her father got the news, the oldest daughter had already gotten in the car and left. Lori hid her money in the floorboards. She thought her escape would go just as well. She came home from work that day to find her piggy bank empty. No doubt about it, her alcoholic father had spent it all. But even so, didn't stop Lori from leaving. When she saved up again, her father tried to hold her back. She left without looking back. In the days that followed, Jenny's career went from strength to strength. She was planning to marry her boyfriend, and Jenny didn't tell her father, but they showed up uninvited. This time they came to borrow money. The mother asked for $10 million, because Grandma left a piece of land when she died. Mother and uncle split it 50/50ths. Now they want to sell it. You have to buy the uncle's half, and that half is $10 million. Jenny couldn't believe it. The family has $10 million, and yet the 4 of them were living off the land. The father said he didn't want to accept charity. He thinks he's done a good job with the kids all these years. Jenny never wanted to see her father again. Soon after, he fell ill. Mother wanted Jenny to see him. Jenny went to see her father's bedside. When we met again, the father handed his daughter a thick book. It was every article Jenny had ever written. The father would cut them out of the newspaper every time. He always watched his child in silence, but he was afraid to face himself all his life. The shadow of his childhood had been with him all his life. He didn't dare to face the reality, so he chose to run away. He paralyzed himself with alcohol. He used a glass castle to deceive himself. Not long after, father passed away. The painful memories and fate of a family, and it also came to an end.